when we are together. We really have, I would say, really good relationship, and I think it also comes from back then. We were like a bit rivals.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Odd Tandem. As you can see, I am not in my guest bedroom. I'm actually up in New York City because my oldest daughter is graduating from college tomorrow. So a little bit of change of background for me. And Yenzi, you know, bless you, sir. Coming back from the Giro, all sunburned. You got that hoarse voice from all that dust that you had to inhale yesterday in the Giro. But that's enough about us. Our guest today burst onto the scene very young. He won not one, not two, but 3 under-23 time trial world championship titles in a row. He has ridden for the past 5 years with the UAE Team Emirates, and he is just an overall great kid from Denmark. Jens, Mikkel Bjerg today, what did you think?
I love to talk with him. He's such a well-educated, well-mannered young gentleman. I love to talk. I just remember 2 points he put out, like he explained us why by the end of the season his seat is just a little lower than at the start of the season, and where with these modern trend of bigger chain rings and his desperation, where and how did he get these big chain rings from? So please, folks, stay tuned and listen to Mikkel explaining it all to us.
Yeah, a lot of fun. You know, we have history with the Danish kids. You know, we were on that Danish team for quite a few years, and it's great to hear another young Danish voice. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy our great conversation today. All right, Mikkel Bjerg, welcome to the Odd Tandem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man, you know, you had a pretty long and, let's say, action-packed Spring Classic campaign. Your last race was in Belgium a couple of weeks ago. Where are you now, and what have you been up to since then?
Yeah, so I'm in Andorra now, just trying to come back into training after, I took a break after the Classics. And my spring was pretty busy towards the end, but I felt like it started a bit slower than what I would have wanted. But there was a lot of races in the end, and I think it was nice to show the level. And just go full gas for the team.
Hey, just to loosen up a little bit, we have this tradition of a few quickfire questions. Short questions, short answers. Alrighty?
Yeah.
You good? You ready to go?
Well, I don't know if I'm ready, but I'll try.
Alrighty. So what's gonna be? Reading books or Netflix?
Netflix.
Winter training in Denmark or in southern France?
Southern France.
Smørrebrød or hot dog?
Smørrebrød.
There you go. Your favorite piece of TT Bling, TT equipment, time trial equipment?
My extensions.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta ask. What brand are your extensions?
Yeah, so now I'm running a set from Envy, the team sponsor. But they're really nice that you can change a bit the length and play a bit around with the position without having to buy a new extension. So it's a really nice and easy setup.
I thought it would all be 3D printed, perfectly made for this just one rider, one person. But yours, you can still adjust them a little bit in the length and the position for the support pads.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, 5 years ago or something, or 10 years ago even, I think everybody wanted to do like a 3D version of your forearm. And then I think now it's more going towards you just need to be able to change your position. Also because normally teams do aero testing in December now, and then maybe in February they change your position again because you got saddle sores from the December training camp and you have to adjust something. And then it's really easy to not having to wait like a few months to get a 3D bar made.
And Mikkel, how often do you train on your time trial bike?
Yeah, so I do a couple of times a week. I think some guys do a bit less. And, the best thing is when you come to a TT in a race and your teammates say, oh, I haven't been on the bike since Welter last year or something. Then I really think, wow, you're really in for a treat.
Bobby, without mentioning any names, I believe we did have a young and very talented Luxembourgeois team member who was like that, right? But we won't mention any names. But yeah, we we had a teammate like, oh, I haven't seen my TT bike since last year, Vuelta.
Well, Jens, you remember on French teams as well.
Oh, yeah.
We would get to Paris-Nice. Paris-Nice, like one of the biggest, hardest races of the year that always would, back then, would start with a prologue. And you'd see French teams building time trial bikes the night before the prologue. And, you know, we had our time trial bikes at CSC, like at our training camps, we were doing full on, you know, time trial simulations and everything like that. And talk about looking over at them and saying, oh, you guys are in for a treat. You know, just not even riding their time trial bikes before Paris-Nice. I just couldn't understand that lack of attention to detail, you know?
And Mikkel, now we're already talking about TTs. How often do you go to the wind tunnel or do the testing on the track? Every year, every 5 years, a few times a year? How often do you adjust your position once you feel, okay, it's the 1st of January, I'm happy, I'm comfortable? You don't change it throughout the season? Or how is that going to work out in these modern days of cycling with you as a specialist?
I think in the ideal world, it would be exactly like you say, that 1st of January, I don't touch my bike anymore, but it's just not the case for me. I think... I don't know. I think I'm just too much in my own head to stick with one thing. I like to go on the velodrome to do some testing, and even if I test stuff that I previously tested, it's just nice to know that okay, it's still the fastest way of riding my bike. And I think during the season you have, at least I have the sensation that my legs get almost shorter, like the muscles get like super tense, and I just want to put my saddle down. So I think towards the end of the year, it's probably a bit lower on my saddle compared to the start. And maybe it's not the perfect situation, but it's just the only way I can manage.
Hey, you got to take care of those things and, talk about, getting inside your head. We had a rider, a very famous rider. His name was Fabian Cancellara, and it was my first year after I retired. I was at the Giro team time trial, and we go out the day before the event, and we're riding, and I'm behind him, and he's making this really weird kind of back and forth on the saddle thing, right? And then he puts up his hand. I pull up there. I roll down the window, and he goes, I need to lower my saddle by 1 millimeter. And I kind of looked out the window, and I thought he was taking the piss, right? I was like, wait. He goes, do you have an Allen key? And I said, actually, yeah, I do. So we pulled over. I swear to God, he lowered that 1 millimeter, gets back into line, does a few pedal strokes, turns around, gives me the big thumbs up. And I was just like, 1 millimeter. I mean, I saw him lower it 1 millimeter, and it made all the difference in the world to him. It was pretty crazy. But Mikkel, so looking and doing a little bit of research, I have a question for you. So when you started in 2014 at the Nationals, you got 14th place. In 2015, you got 17th place in your Nationals, right? And then in 2016, your first world championships, you got second in Doha, to Brennan Magniti, your current teammate. What did you find? What magic did you find between 2015 and 2016 where you went from getting 17th in your nationals to second in the junior worlds? Was there some, miraculous thing you figured out, or what's the story behind that?
No, so I was always super into time trialing, and I think that's why I really fell in love with the sport. And I think around those years I had a small knee injury, and I was really trying to get super aero on the bike and trying to optimize my equipment a lot in, I think it was 2015, the winter going into 2015. And then all of 15, I was just injured and I couldn't ride my bike more than a few hours a day. And but I was super aero, I think, compared to the rest of the guys. And once I could train properly in 2016, then I really felt, I think also with going through puberty, I think, I got maybe 20 watts better in 1 year or something like this.
Got more muscles, huh?
Exactly. I think I lost some weight because the year I was injured, I was pretty big.
My colleague from Denmark, Anders Mielke, he rode with you in that team in Roskilde as juniors. He told me, asking about the knee injury, you were off the bike for a long time, right? And who supported you? Who kept you in it? And what did you do to stay fit without being allowed to actually ride your bike?
Yeah, so in that period, I was riding, I think in the beginning, like 20 minutes a day. After I did maybe a month of resting and it didn't get better. So I just tried to strengthen my knees. And I think it was just from like growing too fast or, like this growth spur. And then I ended up swimming a lot. And my dad was really pushing me to do all kind of crazy things. And I think in the end, what helped getting my knee back on track was I went to this karate place, and the physio, he was like a part-time karate teacher. So he was showing me all these weird moves, and I had to walk on the outside of my feet, then a little bit on the inside of my feet, walk on my heels for like 100 meters or something like this. Yeah.
Wow.
So really strange. I was reading everything I could and trying to do all these weird exercises. And in the end, I think I just stopped growing. And then my knees were, pretty good.
I'd say really good. I mean, 2017, you come back, you win your first under 23 time trial championship at the World Championships. You repeat that in 2018 and 2019. I think you're the only rider to ever win 3 World Championship time trials in the under 23 category. So, that's really hard to do. We see consistency from time to time, but being able to pinpoint that one day, the World Championships in 3 different countries, spaced by 3 years, that was when you really kind of came on to the scene, where people like myself started noticing you. What did you have to do? Because, I mean, you were riding against, McNulty. You guys seem to go head-to-head a lot. There was some other big names involved that you had to beat in those 3 years. But that was amazing consistency for such a young rider. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, so I think my first year, I think that was my biggest accomplishment, to be honest. And I think I could just, freely choose the equipment I wanted. And back then, I think that made kind of a big, that made a big difference. And obviously I also got stronger, but I think there in 2017, I really had a big advantage over the competition. I was running a 1-by chainring. I think I was maybe the only one on the 23s at the time that did that. So just the small things compared, and then also with I was really focused. I could only do this, and then all my road race results were horrible. I was really, really bad.
And Bobby mentioned the name Brennan Magniti. So in the juniors, Brennan Magniti became world champion. You were second behind him. And then at least one more time at the under 23, you did beat Brendan. Now you're in the same team. Do you sometimes, like at the dinner table, look at each other and just laugh and go, hey, remember us two together at the World Championships? One year you win, the other year I win. Is that still you sometimes talk about it and they have a smile about the good old days? Or is the job too hard? You have never time to actually talk about older stories?
No, I think it's really nice also to speak about these old stories, but especially with me and Brandon, when we are together, we really have I would say, really good relationship. And I think it also comes from back then. We were like a bit rivals. And I think also it helped me to push myself a bit further, all the trainings. And just to have this goal, like in the end of the year. And I would always start the spring not super good. And during the summer, like train more and more and more. And then especially living in Denmark, it was not super easy to train a lot during the winter. And then I moved to Girona in Spain, and I think that also helped the training going like more consistently throughout the winter. And just becoming a professional cyclist since 2018 with Action.
I saw that you rode for Action, and I saw that you did the last ever Tour of California in 2019, which was won by a current teammate as well. So you have like current teammates winning all over the place. But what are your memories of those 2 years at let me say the Hagman's Berman Action team? I always get that wrong, so I wanted to make sure I got that right this time. What are your memories of that, and then also the memories of racing the final Tour of California over here in the U.S.?
Yeah, when I think back, it was really great memories, especially the training camps in the US was really something different to Europe, I remember. And yeah, just the level of detail, you know, the first time we met in California, we got all the clothes and all the Oakley glasses, you know, you get, I don't know, 12 pairs or whatever. And I only had ever one pair, so I really felt like, wow, I made it. I really felt like that was my I made it moment. You know, when you get the backpack full of Oakleys. Yeah.
And what about Tour of California? What do you remember about that in 2019?
Yeah, it was super hard, 2019. I remember I abandoned Tour of Yorkshire, I think it was like 2 weeks before. And then I was sick from end of Tour of Yorkshire all the way until maybe the day or 2 days before Tour of California. And yeah, I was really creeping all of the Tour of California, but I made it to one breakaway, I think, and I think I also got the blue jersey in one stage. So yeah, it was nice to at least get something.
So since I'm commentating and I see you often being the man they call first to work in the front, and you do it for a long time, and then me as a commentator, I sit there and go, and that was the day done for Mikkel Bjerg. He worked so hard. And then I see you coming back one more time, two more times, and I can tell you absolutely tired. You still come back and pull one more time or pass some more bottles. Where do you find that strength? Is that something in your youth, in your under 23 years, or where do you find that loyalty or this mental strength? Okay, I can come back one more time to pull for my leader, for my captain. How do you do that?
I think it's now I also saw you had Luke Rowan on the podcast a few weeks ago, and I think it's watching guys like him, but also you, Jens, when you rode for CSC. I think, and Saxo Bank was, you know, you watch these super great riders being the best possible domestiques they can on their current day. You know, they each have a career for themselves, but then when they have to ride for the team, they really give 100%. And I think that also motivated me to really say, okay, I want to pursue this direction of career. And I think when I'm there and I have teammates that I really feel confident that they can deliver a result, then I just try to give my best. And sometimes it looks really crazy after when I watch the video. I'm like, man, I should have just got dropped this. I don't even know if it helped. So, yeah. But at least I don't stop until I'm completely dead.
Oh, well, I was Jens's roommate for a long time. And once that door closed at night, we'd go to bed or try to go to bed. I always went to bed a little bit earlier than him. But man, in the mornings when I'd wake up and I'd see his face, I was like, he's done, because he did so much work the day before, the week before, the 2 weeks before. I'm like, no, he's done. But man, when that bell rang, when that gun went off, all of a sudden he was like perked up, just like the Chippy Chipperson of all chipmunks, just ready to roll. But working on the front is one thing, but working on the front when your team leader is leading and then eventually winning the Tour de France like you did in 2021. You've done 5 Grand Tours so far. You started with the Giro, the pandemic year. I can't imagine that was a great experience. But your first ever tour, you were part of the winning team. What sort of experience was that for you, stepping into your first tour and winning?
I would say in 21 it felt really easy, because we came from Tadej obviously won the year before as a bit of an underdog, and I guess you could say the team was not it was not the strongest version of UAE that we saw in 2020, and then I just felt confident that in 21 we had a maybe even more like a team specifically designed to really help Tadej. And I think everybody just had a lot of confidence in him, and he obviously pulled it off. And then afterwards, I really had the feeling like maybe I just took this for granted a bit too much. And then, the following 2 years, I would say I was way better than the first year, and we just didn't manage to do the same thing. And I think now I feel more, I don't know, I think I should have enjoyed it a bit more maybe in 21.
How did you feel that you came out of that first Tour de France in 2021? Because you come out, in my opinion, flying or dying, right? But you kind of looked like you continued to race a lot in between there and the World Championships. And the World Championships that year weren't like your best. But how did you feel that you came out condition-wise, mentally, physically from your first Tour de France? Because we talk about that a lot.
Yeah, so actually I was completely dead after the 21 tour. And I think what I really made the big mistake was we went out in Paris the last evening.
No, we never do that, right? No, that never happens.
But, we just had a great night, and we were, with all the team and the sports directors. And then on the way home to the hotel, I said to the sports director's wife, she was there, but she only had heels on. And I said, you can take my shoes. I'll just walk bare feet to the hotel. And I just smashed my feet completely, walking like 2 kilometers on the streets of Paris. I think that just really, that was like the, top of the iceberg for me.
I would have a question also about that. Like, let's say you're in the middle of the tour. Your captain, Tadej Pogačar, is in the leader's jersey. What is your feeling when you wake up in the morning? Are you more excited to look forward to another great day, or you go, oh my God, so much responsibility. I don't want to crash myself. I don't want to crash the captain, but I also don't want to look stupid on TV when I get dropped. What goes through your mind? Or you go, okay, we got this. If I'm not good today, I got 7 teammates that can take over from me. We got this. We good as a team. Or you felt more nervous, more afraid? Was it scary to have the leader of the Tour de France in the team? All eyes on you, all responsibility on you. Nobody would help you, of course, because they don't want to help you. The other teams, they want to beat you. So what goes through your mind in a situation where you think we can make it, but we're not there yet?
I think there's obviously a few stages where, if there's like a crosswind situation or something, and it's really up to the big guys to look after Tadej, then obviously I feel a bit more pressure. But I think most stages we are really lucky to have a really strong team. And in the past, or also now, I am riding with Vegard Steiger-Langen, and if I had a bad day, he would always just pull for 2 guys. Like he was incredible in the tours that I did with him, and also the Giro last year, just monster.
Yeah, you guys definitely got something working, and that's kind of the entry to my next question. So this is your 6th year riding for UAE Team Emirates. You have a contract for 2 more years. Your team is obviously the most dominant in the sport, and it's not just that one guy. It's a lot of you guys winning races, and doing well in the Giro right now. 2 in the first and second, 4 in the top 9. But what do you think makes your team so special? Because there's something that you guys got clicking right now, and I'm just curious from the inside what you feel is special or different or unique from your organization.
I think a lot of it comes down to also, the riders that are really performing now. The team already found them then when they were really young, like Ayuso and Del Toro. I really have the feeling that Mancini already saw them when they were, 15, 16 years old, and started developing this relationship with them. And I think also when they saw that the team is growing, like when Tadej won the first tour, I think all young guys maybe could see themselves being maybe the next Tadej or the next, Brennan Magniti, or, So I think it also creates an environment where young people see themselves fitting in easily, also because it's a young team. And at least when I joined the team, it was a really young group. And I felt like I could grow with these guys, and we grew into a really strong team together. And even when we get younger guys coming up now, like Morgado, I just feel like he's my age. And then when he says he's from like 2006 or 5, or it just sounds super crazy to me. Jens, you maybe have kids that are older than 2005.
Yep, first son is born in 1995.
Yeah, so even older than me.
He's turning 30 this year. Yep.
But it just sounds super young, no? 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, what I love about your team before Team Quickstep was a little bit like that as well. You're not just the team with the most wins or points. You also, at least last year, if I remember correctly in my research, you're the team with the most different riders winning. So that, I believe, is also good quality. It's like a taking and giving. One day you bury yourself, you give it all for your captain at that race. And whatever, 2 weeks down the road, the guy goes, you know what? Today, no, I don't have it. It's all for you. You have so many different riders winning races all over the continent or all over the world. That makes it really special. Is that something you talk about in your December training camp when you plan the strategy for the next season, that, hey guys, we try to give everybody a chance to be the captain 1 or 2 days per year?
I think also now the team is in a situation where almost everybody have the level to, win races. We also see that from the results that, everybody is just super strong, and they really attracted a lot of really strong guys. Even if they come to be a super domestique, they obviously have the level to win a race for themselves. And I think I also saw that for myself, that I helped the team, but then, you get these few chances a year and you have to try to deliver. And for me, it just took a bit more time to really get that win. And I think also when I finally got it, it really felt like a big weight off my shoulders, and I could just focus on being a normal cyclist. I didn't have this super pressure to win a big race.
Yep. But, looking back through your junior teams, your under 23 teams, there's a lot of familiar names and faces that are in the World Tour. But there's also some guys that weren't able to make that jump from juniors or under 23s into the pros. Is there anyone from that group that didn't make it that you're still close with, even though they may have had to switch professions since then?
Yeah, I would actually say, we always got told when we were younger, okay, so when you are under 15 or under 17, the national team is 30 guys. And we had this presentation every winter where they said, okay, maybe 2 of you guys will be World Tour riders. That's statistically how it was. And I think now from my age, 98, we were 10 guys World Tour so it just felt almost, I would say everybody got more or less the opportunity to race. Just maybe one guy went on the track to focus on that, Rasmus Lund, and got Olympic medals, and he's a world champion in the team pursuit, and he pursued that career instead, but he was so strong on the road as well. And he started playing American football actually when we stopped in juniors, and he did that for 1 year, and then he came back on the bike. But he was incredible on the road as well.
We talked about your time trial positioning and all that. Also, bikes are important for time trialing. And me, as a former East German, we were all supplied by Konago back in our days. The East Germans had blue Konagos. Nice. And the Polish and the Russians, they would have red Konago frames. Right? So I know the company Konago quite well for years and years. How is it now in these modern day and ages? I mean, back then we had steel frames and whatnot. How much feedback can you give them for the TT bike, for the road bike? And how much feedback do they take to produce the bike? Or, to make the question short, what do you see of your feedback, or whatever, Adam Yates' feedback, Tadej Pogacar's feedback, in the TT bike and in the road bike? Can you see something like, hey, that and that, we told them and they made it better for us?
Yeah, I would say like I comment on that is I think Konago is really growing to be it's like every year it's getting bigger and bigger, at least from my view when I joined the team in 2020. And every time, for example, we have some feedback, they say, yeah, but we're already developing the next bike. So I think it all comes into a like loop of designing. But maybe if you're really unlucky, you just missed the deadline for the new frame getting produced, but then you see it like integrated in the next version of the frames. And yeah, it's really, I would say it's nice to get new equipment also because you have the feeling that is faster, and now we all switched from the V4 to the V5 here. Yeah, I think it was 1 month ago. And I would just say the sensation to change your frame also mid-season, maybe it's not the best time for the mechanics, but as a rider, it really feels like, wow, you just got like an upgrade package just before the Grand Tours. So it's special, when you get a new bike, and it's nice also to see that the feedback is coming into into the different frames.
Just for our non-expert listeners and viewers, we talking about the road bike or TT bike here now with V4, V5?
Yeah, this is the road bike. And I would say also the TT bike. We had we got the new TT bikes with the disc brakes here 2 years ago, and we wanted to ride wider tires on the frames. And I know Tade, he got a frame made for him last year for the Tour de France that could fit a little bit wider tire on the back, so he could do this descent on the Nice time trial a bit faster. And just those small details, I think, can make, at least, for the riders, peace of mind that, okay, I'm on the fastest possible equipment for the given day.
I think I'm dating myself, but the thing that sticks out to me most about the new equipment is the handlebars, even on the road bike, right? Like we used to have, Jens, we had a handlebar, we had a stem, you had bolts, and now it's just like this one piece. But at UAE Team Emirates, your guys' handlebars look like an airplane wing. Pinarello has a one piece. I know Cervelo has a one piece. But going from 42 centimeter center to center handlebars to the new one piece Talon Extra that I have from Pinarello, that is on the outside on the drops, it goes from a 40, so it's a 38. And then on the inside, on the hoods, it's basically like a 36. So it took me 5 months to get used to being more aero and collapsing my chest enough to have that feel comfortable. Now I love it, but it definitely took me a little while to get used to it. With those bars that you have at your team that integrate with that beautiful new bike from Konago, what does that feel like? Is it like super stiff, or is it maybe a little bit too narrow? Because, man, that really pops out to me when I see you guys riding on the front in that position.
The new aero bike looks super crazy. Like when you're descending, and if you just look at the race line, you don't really notice a difference. And then when you look down at your Wahoo, it's where the normal handlebar was supposed to be. And then it looks a bit like it just looks so new and it's like it looks really fast. But when you're just descending or doing corners or even just riding, if you just look ahead, you don't feel it, because you can see that the handlebars are visually very different.
Another thing that came onto the scene recently is, and maybe you can explain it to our listeners and viewers, what is the story behind these massive chain rings in time trials, like 64, 68s? And who the hell produces something like that? I mean, you cannot just get them off the shelf, right? It's got to be, some special design only for the pros, or you get them handmade by your dad in a garage. So what is the story behind, and where do you get them from?
So first of all, to everybody listen, like, I'm not an expert of aerodynamics. I'm just a big fan and just a hobby cyclist on the engineering side of things. But I think the main reason to use a really big chainring is to reduce friction from the chain going in a bigger circle. And then you can also run it on the bigger sprocket on the back. So instead of being in a 53.11, you would be on a 56.15 or 14, and that should be slightly better for the friction, but also give you a more straight chain line. And I think it started to really become popular like 4 or 5 years ago. And I think all the suppliers, they had to really catch up, because we started, buying chain rings in China and, sending them to the team asking, please, can we ride this? And if you just spray paint it black. So actually I have ordered some chain rings from China in the past and really begged the team, please, can I use this? And sometimes it worked and sometimes not.
Gosh, it just makes me think, Yenzi, if you were allowed, when you were racing on the road bike, you had what, a 53.12, maybe a 53.11? Can you imagine, Mikkel, if they would have let Jens put on a 68 chainring on his road bike? I mean, it would have been even worse for the rest of the peloton. He'd just be crushing us even more. We'd never see him again. One of the most unique things about being a professional cyclist is you need to have a balance between the sport and your real life, right? And one of those things is just downtime at home. But in 2021, you got married to Emma Norsgaard, a professional cyclist for the Lidl Trek women's team. Emma is quite good at time trialing as well. Do you guys share some secrets on this specific discipline, or is it just as soon as you come home, no, we're not talking about cycling?
No, I think it's the beauty of I would say, our relationship. It's, we can really help each other and really understand if one is going through a harder period. Maybe it's like, she don't have great legs, or I don't have great legs. And then the other can exactly relate to the feeling and really understand, okay, maybe I can try to help her and she can try to help me in that direction. And I think that it really helps me just to be a better cyclist. And I think I can help Emma trying to be, even more aero on the TT bike. And I tried to optimize her setup for the 2020 World Championship, and she finished 7th, I think. But her bike was super crazy. We had all the nice parts, and it was really fast.
So then it makes me curious about your dinner table conversations. Like you have a starter and a glass of wine, and you go, what's your FTP, and or how many watts per kilo do you push today in training, or hey, 53.11 today. All these special slang words that I don't know, probably Bobby and myself, our wives wouldn't understand what a 53.11 is. So there's moments where you go, Emma goes, hey, Mikkel, look, let's just talk about the sunshine out there, or let's talk about the next holiday, or you go, you know what, Emma, let's just talk about something else. Or is it just you're so much in love with the sport that you go, look, you know what, I could talk about this day and night?
I would say actually we don't really talk too much about cycling. It's more the periods, if it gets like, if I have really bad legs and I say like, it also can maybe affect your mood a bit. If you really have bad legs for 1 or 2 weeks and you think maybe I'm getting sick, I train too much or too little, or, just things are not clicking. And then I think it's really great to have a partner that really understands and have been through it herself, or if it's the other way around. So, at this tonight at the dinner table, I was really saying, I'm super nervous. I'm going on this podcast and these guys are, I don't know what to say. Maybe I'll make a fool of myself. And she has her own podcast, actually. That's also why I have these headphones that are looking super professional. And she was just explaining to me, just take a deep breath, try to speak slow, blah, 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 you'll be fine. So it's just things like that, like your partner can relate to the struggles that you are having. And maybe if you feel nervous, like you have a sports director that say like, don't be nervous, tomorrow you'll be great. That's like, I have my own sports director just at home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, I still don't think our wives understand the gear ratio combos. You know, when I'm talking on the phone and she walks by and I'm like 53-12, she'll be like, "Why are you always talking about those 37-46s?" And I'm like, "No, that's not even close. It's not even close." Oh man, yeah, it was a little different with Yenzi and I when we went home. We were not comparing our CDAs. It was more like, "Hey, you're home now. You got to start changing the diapers, or you got to mow the lawn." Or I have a question. You know, you're an experienced pro now. You were kind of that beginning of those super talented kids that obviously had world tour potential. You know, you did do all 3 years in the under 23 category. Now we have riders that are maybe doing one before they step into the world tour, and some guys are coming straight from the juniors into the world tour. So having lived through that and done that extra work in the under 23s, what piece of advice would you give to young riders today hoping to follow in your shoes and so many of these younger riders that are obviously physically and mentally developed enough to be world tour at, you know, before they're even legal to have a glass of alcohol over here in the USA?
Yeah, so I think it's like the fitness level that these super young guys have is really incredible. Some of the guys that we have on, you know, trial for training camps, and, you know, even guys that already signed with the team, they are super strong. And I think it's not the legs that is the main thing that they need to develop. It's maybe more the understanding of, you know, how it is to maybe live abroad if they come from Australia or the US or something like this. And, you know, the move to Europe, or the move from, if you live in Denmark and have to move to Spain or Italy or Monaco or where you want to live. So I think it's more the growing up part that's, you know, that maybe they are missing. But I have the feeling that, like, some of the things that I was really doing in the under 23s, just trying to move to Spain and buy a car in Spain and buy some old car that stopped in the middle of the highway. Some of these steps I could have been without, I would say. You know, I would probably have learned this, you know, along the road anyway. And I just felt like, you know, I had to do all these things the hard way. And then the young guys that come now, you know, it just seems super easy that they live at home, but they are already world tour. So I think it's just a little bit different way of living to, yeah, like they still live at home, but they are already making, you know, super big results. And yeah, they will have super nice careers. But in my head, it's just, it seems crazy that they're only 18, but man, they are super strong. It's really incredible. I don't know how they did it at already such a young age, but it's really, really impressive.
So I believe every team has a whatever performance coach or a head of performance and so on, or a scouting system to find talents. And I guess we all three agree that Mark Cavendish is pretty much a legend of our sport, right? And he himself said, a rider with my type of body and my power output, my values, I would never ever get a contract these days, because you look at the, you know, the body weight, the fat percentage, the whatever watts per kilo one can push. Do you see it a little bit like that? Or, I mean, you know, there's cleverness coming in, there is just resilience, you know, as a rider you need. It's not just all the numbers on paper. Do you see we tend in modern cycling a little bit too much to just science and numbers, and we forget the racing instinct, or if he fits in a team, the rider, or not? Or what's your point there?
To be honest, I would say that the scouting goes, maybe was different a few years ago, but now I would say it's super detailed. Like, they're even watching like the results from, you know, if it's a guy from Slovakia or something like this, they are looking all the races in Slovakia, even if it's like under 17. If he won 5 races in a row, they will definitely know. And so if you are a good racer, like a really smart racer and quick on the finish line, somebody will pick it up for sure. Because I think with the technology we have now also on Pro Cycling Stats, it even shows the local races that are non-UCI. So at least I have the feeling like it's out there, like the information is possible for the scouts and the coaches to see. So I would definitely say if you're a type of rider that is not pushing 8 watts per kilo for 12 minutes or something, something like this, and if you're just racing and if you're a smart racer, it will come across at some point.
Yeah, you got to hope so. But yeah, I remember that conversation, Jensi, with Mark, and some of his first coaches said that he wasn't going to make it, and look at him now. But you talked about some technology. You talked about, we talked all the time about sacrifices that you have to make to be at this level in the sport. What is the hardest sacrifice that you have to make? It could be, I don't know, some data tracking apps, counting your calories, going to bed super early, tracking your sleep. What is the one that's kind of the most difficult?
Yeah, I think it's, when you're a professional cyclist, you're just living your ultimate dream fantasy of just riding your bike and doing the biggest races. And I think sometimes you can lose a bit the perspective that, okay, you have to count your calories. And my life is so hard, I have to do this feeding app. But actually you're just, doing your hobby, like maybe 16 hours of the day. So I think tracking your calories is maybe one of the more boring things, but I think it really shows that, it can really give you a performance benefit if you are really on top of your fueling. And I would say for me, it was always getting enough, and it still is, to get enough fuel in for a big ride. The breakfast, I really struggle to eat enough, and I think the amounts that you have to eat to do a 6,000 calorie ride, it's almost tiring just to finish your breakfast, and then you have to do the big effort afterwards. So I would say definitely counting the calories is the more boring and hard thing in the everyday schedule. But but just time away from home, I would say, is definitely a bigger sacrifice in the big picture.
I believe Bobby can agree. I never had problems eating, right, Bobby? I could eat like a horse. I was happy that I could burn it off later in a race. I never had a problem with appetite. But something I noticed when I'm commentating and you in the race, I have the feeling, let's say the race is 180 kilometers long, okay? It takes 80 kilometers for the breakaway. Then you have 10 kilometers maybe where everybody can eat and drink and quickly talk to your rider next to you. We're at 90. And then the Grande Finale starts at 90 to go. Everybody's pushing already for positions. Is it really like that? There's not much time to be social in the peloton. Huh? The race, everything is so important. You got to catch the break. There's this little moment window in the middle. And then it's already, okay, back with the leader, stay together, right, in the crosswinds and all that. Is it really like that? Or is it just my impression I have from looking at it?
I think like during this season, I didn't really talk to anyone next to me. At least it just every day on this, I would say it's a really nice situation to have, but every day the team has a plan and a strategy, and we more or less know from each kilometer what thing we have to do. And I think this year I was pulling a lot, and when you're pulling, you can't really talk to anybody. So it's just maybe the guys in the back have more of a nice time, and they can chat. But if you're always one of the 3 teams in the front that are sitting like single file, you don't talk to each other that much. And if you have to tell a joke, it's almost an effort. You have to go on the side of your teammates, stay in the wind, say whatever. They didn't get the point. You have to tell it again, and you say, no, I will just say it in the bus later. So it's some days are really stressful, and you don't have much time to play around. And we still try, and I guess you also see it from the television, like from the cameras, that riders gets to joke also with their competitors, but then it's game face and straight back in the line and try to do a lead out before the next corner, or there's always something.
See, I didn't like talking to people at all, Jensi, because it was always the same exact questions. You would you would ride up to somebody saying, hey, how's the form? Or, hey, you look skinny. Or, how are the kids? You know, it was always the same thing because we were so boring back then. We didn't really do anything. You know, we didn't watch or binge Netflix. We didn't watch, great documentaries. It was always kind of boring. So, yeah. I'd prefer not to talk at all. I mean, Jensi was Mr. Social Butterfly, he'd go around and shake everybody's hand and, actually ask, real important questions. I just kind of wanted to get it on. You know what I'm saying? Talk about, that's probably not the right thing to say, talk about getting it on, but like you've been on a little break now. What do you have up on your upcoming schedule the next couple months?
Yeah, so I do a Tour of Norway, and that starts in a week or something from now. And then I have a Tour of Swiss, and then I do Nationals, which is always a really big goal of mine. I haven't been able to win the elite time trial yet, so for me it's almost the biggest day of the year, and I just get so disappointed always afterwards because I feel I'm so close. Today was my chance. And then I end up second or fourth or third or something like this. Yeah, or seventh, something. Yeah.
Talking about the important day, maybe you've never heard of it. Maybe you're just too young. But some of my old teammates, Blautzun and so on, they had a race on a hill in Denmark, took the chain off, and then tried to roll as long as they can. So you would all start on the top and then start to roll. They developed techniques to keep the bike swerving and rolling longer without even the chain on. Have you ever participated in that? That was important to them. They kept telling me again and again about that day on the downhill. Have you ever heard of that challenge?
Yeah, I think actually you can find it on YouTube. It's called like the Downhill Championship. It's in Silkeborg, where my wife is from. So I've done the climb a few times. I think I have the KOM the other way. But,
good for you.
I think definitely now if we try to do something like this, the CPA or UCI, they would step in and say, guys, for sure not. You need barriers, and then you can do it. Then you can do what you want.
I wouldn't have the KOM going up or definitely going down, but sounds like some fun. Sounds like some fun. Well, Mikkel, I have to say, I hope we didn't make you nervous because you didn't seem nervous at all. We really appreciate you taking time after dinner with Emma to come on and, get schooled in the podcast world. I'm sure you'll be on a lot more of these in the future. So thank you so much for coming on the Odd Tandem today, and we wish you the best of luck, especially at those national time trial championships, man. Come on, you're due. You're due.
Thank you. I know today's my chance, But thank you for having me, and I think also to the listeners, if you made it this far, thank you for listening in, and it was great to be on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for watching the podcast, and if you enjoyed our chat with Mikkel, why not check out our videos with other TT stars like Josh Starling or Chris Boardman by clicking here.
Special thanks to everyone who backed our podcast on Patreon, like these people here.